These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Reckless speculation.
It is a Reckless Speculation Thursday here. Happy Reckless Speculation Thursday to all who celebrate. This is Mackey and Judd, daily Minnesota sports, entertainment, speculation therapy. And we bring our guy in from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department, the Scoop Podcast, inside information about your favorite Minnesota sports teams. Darren Doogie Wolfson in the studio, in the flesh. Good morning, Doogie.
I'm here, Phil. Good morning to you. Good morning to Declan. Good morning to Judd. Judd, Declan, happy wild opening night. But yes, way more importantly, happy Reckless Speculation Thursday.
Last night, gentlemen, the Los Angeles Lakers thought, we'll just run our A lineup out there and stomp the B- lineup of the Minnesota Timberwolves without the target centers in. And Anthony Edwards actually had kind of a bad game offensively. And I don't know how the Timberwolves are going to cut this roster down to 15, quite frankly. Deepest team in the NBA, obviously. But they beat the Lakers, undefeated in the preseason. The biggest question lingering, though, Doogie, we still have yet to see, with one preseason game left, Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert on the court at the same time. So what are you hearing on that front?
It is unfortunate. The plan as I sit here on Thursday morning with you guys is for both of them to play tomorrow night, Target Center, against the Brooklyn Nets. But I can tell you, going back multiple days, the plan was for both of those guys to play last night. That Chris Finch really wanted the two of them to play together for more than one preseason game before the regular season opens in 6 days at home against OKC. So that was unfortunate last night that both guys sat out. Now, if you noticed, the last time Rudy Gobert played, he was wearing a knee brace. Now, he has worn a knee brace previously, so that is not necessarily alarming, but just a reminder how grueling Eurobasket can be. With Gobert, with France advancing to the championship game, and just the toll that can take. Those are high-intensity games. So there was some wear and tear there, right? He is 30 years old. I already see Judd across the way here in the studio.
I talked about Tuesday.
Judd is pissed off that he even played for France. I get it. But the plan was for Rudy and Cat. Now with Cat, he went pretty hard in practice in L.A., a mini training camp sort of, to say, with them out in L.A. for all those days, and so he's still trying to get his legs under him, right? And so it's going to take a while. I can't envision Cat being 100%, throughout the rest of this month. We're looking at November-ish for him to get back into the shape that he wants to be in. But the plan all along was for him to lose some weight, certainly after knowing that they had this Gobert acquisition lined up, with him playing more of the 4, playing more on the perimeter, guarding more of the perimeter, although he's still going to play plenty of center minutes. But the idea that, beginning of the game, end of the game, beginning of the third quarter, he's going to play these power forward minutes. The idea was for him to drop some weight, but certainly not get all the way down to 229, 230, 228, in that neighborhood where he is right now, 231, 232. So he's still trying to get back, some muscle. He's still trying to get his legs back underneath him. So, he went hard in practice. So the decision was made because when we talked to Chris Finch on Wednesday afternoon, or Tuesday afternoon, the plan was for Cat to play Wednesday night. But, just a reminder that, roster decisions are incredibly fluid. But the plan right now is for both those guys to be on the court in Minneapolis tomorrow night.
So, Dukes, do you sense that there is any internal concern among the Wolves about Cat here? Because, when you go to the hospital and have to stay there, this is not just cold or something like that. What's your sense of the actual internal concern here? And to your point, then, how much that's going to cause them to sort of pull back the reins a bit until a month in or so when there might be more confidence in his health at that point?
Well, I would say there's at least a little bit of concern. He dropped more weight than they had hoped, right? They didn't want him to drop all this weight.
Yeah.
Right? And, you talk to some people that have been in the gym with him, he's getting tired after shooting a bunch of jump shots. Now, that's the way you get back into game shape, but the jump shot with the legs, the way, not that he uses his legs a ton, but, he still needs to use the legs somewhat. there's some fatigue there, right? So he's still working his way back into shape, building on some of that muscle. So sure, there's a little bit of concern, but I'm telling you, it's such a favorable schedule early, right? I mean, 5 of your first 6 games, 3 against the lowly Spurs, 1 against the lowly Jazz, 1 against the lowly Oklahoma City Thunder. So, you can divvy up the minutes to a point of he doesn't need to play 34 minutes in these opening games. If it's closer to 28 minutes or 27 minutes compared to, even 36, 37, you can do some things with the minutes. But he's still working his way back into full game shape. Like, I don't think he'll get there until sometime in November.
Doogie, we continue to see, even just like as the preseason preview stuff comes out here, the rehashing of all of the panic takes dating back to July, like, oh my God, what have the Wolves done? Look at this high-risk thing that they did that jeopardizes the future of the franchise. John Hollinger had a piece on The Athletic. Some dude with a big YouTube channel tweeted something out yesterday that got people all stirred up. So on one hand, you get all these like, contrary to what you might think, it wasn't Judd, with the guy with the massive YouTube channel, who tweeted some things out. But sometimes
I've just got a Wolves channel. I just like to do stuff on, just riff.
But you've got these NBA talking heads and some smart people that continue to say, "Oh boy, I don't know about this. This might still be a colossally dumb trade." With on the other side, you've got Chris Finch and Tim Connolly and smart people that are running the future of the Timberwolves that say, "No, this is actually an amazing move for us. We had our option of different things we could have done, and this is the thing that we chose to do." So I guess, how do you bridge that wide gap with what you've been sort of hearing, and where did the Timberwolves come from, even though we haven't seen them play together yet?
The Wolves are very, 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 very happy they made the trade.
Yeah.
They would easily do that trade again, especially being able to hold on to Jaden McDaniels. Like, there is no second thoughts, anything crazy like that. Let me remind everybody, in 30-something seasons, the Wolves have advanced to the second round 1 time. The bar is so bleeping low. Now, we can debate, for this trade to be a success, blank needs to happen. We can have that debate. Fill in the blank. What needs to happen for us to consider this trade a true success? To me, get to the second round. Now, maybe twice. We can debate that, right? Like, once probably doesn't do it. You need to get to the second round at least twice. To me, you need to get to a conference finals. But, like, you do this trade because you haven't done anything for so long. You just haven't, right? And, the Wolves put a bunch of names on the board last summer, right? And then, they look at them. And I say names like, the top 20-ish players in the NBA, right? Jason Tatum's on that board, and Giannis is on that board. But you start going up and down the list of names, you're like, okay, well, like if we offered 5 first-round picks for that guy, Boston's not doing that trade. Milwaukee's not doing that trade. Like, how do we acquire another superstar? And that's why they reached out to Brooklyn on Kevin Durant, right? I mean, they went big game hunting in many ways with a lot of these guys just to see, but a lot of these guys just weren't available. Rudy was very, very available. And so they decided to do it. But, like, to me, this franchise has been nowhere for so long. Why not roll the dice? Why not?
And I think that's what the national people don't get. Because as I told Phil a couple days ago, Dukes, I think that they look at trades as far as, okay, what would the Celtics do? The Lakers do? The Heat do, right? And yes, then this probably does not make sense. But I will start with, not just from a basketball perspective, but probably just as importantly from a business perspective, what this means. Tickets sold, interest. I mean, when is the last time that we approached opening night, short of the Butler year, okay? Because that did carry a lot of juice to it. But short of the Butler year, when's the last time that we were approaching opening night for the Wolves and there was actually a buzz? So I'm not saying, hey, the Wolves are playing. I'm saying an actual buzz of anticipation.
I think the
19 years ago, October of 2003, right? Yeah. After acquiring Sam Cassell, Latrell Sprewell with KG. So we have to go back that long. Yeah, some excitement, right? The Mall of America press conference, giving out the cell phone number, all that. But I still know some people, to this day who are pissed, well, maybe more so than ever, that the Wolves traded Zach LaVine. That was Flip's vision, right? LaVine, Wiggins, Cat.
Some clown in Seattle, I think, still upset about it.
I was pissed during the rumors. I said, no, you're trading the wrong guy. Trade Wiggins.
True.
Well, I mean, heck, that was the flip vision, right? That he felt like that threesome could carry a team far into May and early June. And, I don't know about that, right? Like if Cat is the alpha, Zach is the 2, Andrew's the 3, you still needed some guys around that. Like, I don't think that threesome was going to go very far. But there were people at the time saying, like, you can't give up on Zach. Like, why are you giving up on Zach? Now, I was pro the trade with Tibbs' relationship with Jimmy Butler. Like, once you gave the keys to Tibbs, which at the time didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, right? Like, why did you have to give him the title of president of operations? But once you gave him that power, I had no problem with him acquiring his guy, a guy that he had a relationship with, still in the prime of his career, a guy at that time who still to this day is probably a top 20 to 25 player in the league.
Hell, I'm going to the Wolves opener as a fan. I'm all in.
Wow,
I'm going to the game as a fan. My buddy got season tickets. He just moved back from Denver. He's a diehard Wolves fan. Texted me this morning, "Do you want to go with me to the season opener?" And I said, "Absolutely, I want to go and root on Jaden McDaniels."
Two thumbs and a bandwagon entry point. Declan Goff, right there. This guy.
Roll the boat and howl.
Speaking of bandwagons, the guy that I think if I'm placing money on individual Timberwolves player stocks to rise. To me, I'm all about buying low on Jaylen Nowell. If he's going to get 25 minutes a night and he's going to come off the bench, he's a 3-level scorer. He can get to the rim, mid-range. He shot 39% from 3 last year, and it sounds like they're going to give him a chance to be that guy off the bench. What are you hearing about him going into the season and maybe him in terms of long-term plans with the Timberwolves, Dukes?
Yeah, I mean, I would buy stock on him for sure. I would also buy stock on McDaniels, right? Like there's history to suggest that guys, year 2 to year 3 make a sizable leap. So certainly McDaniels. But yes, on Nowell, year 3 to year 4, contract year for Jaylen. Heck, let's go back to the introductory news conference in June at Target Center when the Wolves introduced to us their draft class, right? Walker Kessler, Wendell Moore Jr., and company. After that, Chris Finch held court with a few of us and unsolicited said, hey, for us to take a leap from 46 wins to whatever this upcoming season, we need Jaylen to do a lot of that heavy lifting. Unsolicited at that time in June, Finch alluded to Jaylen Nowell having a much bigger role. This was with Malik Beasley still on the roster, right? So the tentacles instantly went up. It was also around that time the Wolves said, hey, we don't want Jaylen Nowell to become an unrestricted free agent. Hey, Jaylen, what about 3 years, $9 million on an extension? He says no. Hey, okay, we'll add a year. We'll even bump it up a little bit. What about 4 years, $13 million? He says no. Well, guess what? There's actually been some recent talks. So those talks have re-energized, right? They've picked up, hey, Glenn Taylor calling me. I'll have to let that go to voicemail.
Put it on.
I know, dude. I think you should answer that.
Glenn's assistant. Yeah, it's Sarah. His
speaker.
I think
his
you should
assistant.
answer.
I'm trying to catch up with
speaker.
Yeah.
Put him on speaker. What are your expectations? Glenn, just between you and me, totally off the record.
That would have been very good. I could have gotten the actual update on where Jaylen Nowell talks stand. But Noel's camp, Tim Connolly have had recent talks. My sense is, though, that an extension is not close. Like, I see Jaylen getting to unrestricted free agency next summer. More teams in the league will have cap space. You're right, Phil. I mean, he's looking at 20-something minutes a night. Like, he's going to play a lot. You're right about his ability to score at all 3 levels. The defense has to pick up, but he is a really, really good player. Like, we're reminded watching him this preseason and at times last year why he was the Pac-12 Player of the Year at 19 years old. Right? Like, he was a really good college player. And so I love his ceiling. I love his future, but I just don't see an extension getting done before opening night. But the Wolves have re-picked up some of those talks.
Dukes, as far as this team goes, outside of Gobert's knee, and that's a different story because we talked about it Tuesday, and outside of Cat's health, what are on the floor? What would be the biggest concern here? Like, as we get excited about this, and hey, it should be a huge improvement from Wolves teams of certainly years past, but what do you think that Finch and Conley are the most curious and or concerned about as we open the season?
D'Angelo Russell. Right now, D'Angelo Russell and Rudy Gobert should be a nice 1-2 combo. D'Angelo has not played, at least here in Minnesota, with a player like Gobert when it comes to the pick and roll. So, like, you'll see, there's going to be times where it's just of the big four, wherever you stand on McDaniels. But Russell, Gobert, Towns, Cat, right? Towns and Edwards, excuse me. You're going to see Cat and Ant together a lot. Then you'll see Gobert and D'Lo together a lot.
Okay.
Right? So you're going to see all four of them on the court beginning of the game, beginning of the third quarter, crunch time, right? But in other, points of the game, you'll see two of them on the bench, two of them in the game. Well, the idea is to combine Gobert with D'Lo, but it's D'Lo in a contract. You remember, going back to media day, I told you, there were a couple Wolves people that told me there's this new, energy about D'Lo, like he's carrying himself in a different way.
Right.
Like it feels like there's something different there in a good way, in a very good way. So does that carry over into the regular season, or is there still fallout from what took place in the Memphis playoff series where Chris Finch had to bench D'Angelo Russell? But I think it's all about D'Lo. Can D'Lo adjust? Can D'Lo be comfortable not taking 16 shots a game, 15 shots a game? Maybe the shot total has to go down with the assist total then going up. Plus, can he at least become an average defensive player? He was at times last year. Can that carry over into this year? So I would say it's all about D'Angelo Russell here in a contract year.
These scoops, by the way, are presented by our friends over at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They have been not only supporters of us at Score North, Mackey and Judd Purple Daily, but countless business owners in the state and outside the state of Minnesota. They provide a great guiding hand and risk management tools and resources to help elevate your business to maximum heights. Federatedinsurance.com to find out more about how they can help your business. At Federated, it's our business to protect yours. I'm going to move the scoops along to a different topic here because it's now getting picked up by like ABC and ESPN, some of the main outlets. So a Puerto Rican newspaper, El Nuevo Dia,
very nice,
has Carlos Correa on the record saying he will opt out of his Twins contract. So that doesn't actually happen procedurally until 5 days after the World Series, or maybe it can, but like free agency doesn't open up until November. So, Correa signed it was a 3-year deal, but really it was a series of 1-year deals controlled by Carlos Correa. And so, listen, I was saying back in like July when the Twins were melting down, headed toward the trade deadline, you either have to make a big meaningful splash at the deadline that pushes you into the playoffs to take advantage of the 1 year of Correa, or you have to trade him before the deadline so you can at least maximize an asset that you have sort of stumbled into. And because they traded for an injured pitcher in Tyler Mahle, and I think they would have needed more than just Mahle, knowing the way they melted down. But this, I guess what I'm saying, Doogie, is this is sort of the worst case scenario for the Twins, that he opts out, you miss the playoffs, you really get nothing in return for him unless you can sign him to a long-term extension.
Well, yeah, you can't even extend him a qualifying offer and recoup a draft pick. Like, that's not a thing anymore, right? You can't do that after Houston just did it a year ago. So, yeah, you're looking at him hitting the market. Now, heck, we opined back in June and July, just wondering with this free agent shortstop class with Trey Turner, Dansby Swanson, Xander Bogaerts, would there be any chance he would think about opting into $35.1 million next year, then elect unrestricted free agency 1 year from now at 29 years old compared to 28? So we tossed it out, but then he kicked butt specifically in September, but also August, right? Like his 2-month finish to the season was really, really good. My understanding is this was the plan all along. So even though we opined, we wondered, like going back to the day he signed, he was always going to opt out, barring some sort of catastrophic, compound fracture, Lewis-Cine type injury, something crazy. This was always the idea. Now it's on the Twins, Phil, right? Like I told Judd this on Tuesday. I'll reiterate it right now with you. The Twins are going to make him an offer. I can't speak to how competitive an offer it's going to be, how fair the offer is going to be, but they are going to make him an offer. Heck, I wouldn't be shocked if they make him a second offer, right? That there's some back and forth. He rejects their initial offer. The talks keep going. They make a new offer. They are going to try very hard to sign him to a long-term deal. Now, is that 7 years? Is that 8 years? Is that 9 years? Is it only 6? Is it only 5? but they are going to try to sign him to a long-term deal. I'll be curious to find out the details of that because I still think it's a relative long shot just based on this franchise's history, right? And yeah, they gave out the Josh Donaldson contract, right? But like, is this front office really willing to give a player 7 years, $230 to $240 million? Is ownership really, truly willing to sign off on such an offer? You know, until I see it, it's hard for me to believe it. But I'm telling you, the Twins are going to make him some sort of long-term offer.
And I saw a Falvey quote, Doogie, I think, out of that press conference where he did basically say, we've made offers before and they've been turned down.
Well, sure, Zach Wheeler.
Exactly. So you're, but
you look at Zach Wheeler's brilliance last night.
Yeah.
The Twins made him, so he ended up signing in Philly 5 years, 118, 119. I remember being in this studio November or December of 2019 telling you guys if the Twins wanted to be uber aggressive, there was a chance to sign Wheeler 5 years, 90 to 92 to 93, maybe even 88, 87, but it was going to take a 5-year offer. But like there was an opportunity, there was a window where he may have said yes. But the talks kept going. His wife's family is from 30 minutes outside Philadelphia, so geography played a large part in Zach Wheeler's decision. But yes, they offered Zach Wheeler a ton of money. Previously, they offered Yu Darvish a ton of money. But we're still not talking $230-ish million.
Right.
Right? I mean, we're talking nearly double what they have previously offered. But yes, they have offered more money than what they signed Josh Donaldson to. Zach Wheeler and Yu Darvish would be the two examples.
Yeah. Dude, let's go rapid fire scoops here. Empty the bag for us. What else you got?
Sure. So Dennis Evans, the 7-foot center from California, USA Basketball, he will announce his college decision. So he's a 2023 kid. He's a senior. He will announce his college decision on Monday. It seems to be down to the Gophers and TCU. Kansas was in for a bit, but it seems like Kansas is no longer in that mix. The hurdle that the Gophers are battling is TCU has some NIL money on its side. I was talking, if it comes down to strictly money, he will land at TCU. Yeah, recruiting. I mean, heck, money's always been a part of recruiting. It's just now more in the open.
Coil's cheap.
The cheap coils.
So, but the Gophers are trying to sell him on, hey, you're better off playing here in the Big Ten, and we can find a way to develop you into a lottery pick. So think more long-term money, not short-term money. So the Gophers are working it incredibly hard. I don't know what his decision will be on Monday. I'm telling you, I mean, it seems like it's either TCU or Minnesota. I can tell you there's not a ton of optimism right now over in Dinkytown. Maybe that will change over the weekend, but I can give you the real-time update, or at least as of earlier this week, that there's not a whole lot of optimism because of that TCU money. But the Gophers are trying. They absolutely are trying. If they can find a way to land Dennis Evans, it'll be the best recruiting win for the Gophers in 20 years since Chris Humphreys back in whatever year that was, 01 or 02. So they're trying. And, like, he's legit. Like, I haven't looked at 2024 mock drafts or even 2025 if he plays a couple years in college. But the idea is with his skill set at 7 feet tall that he has a legit chance to certainly be a first-round NBA pick. And if he plays well enough, you know, go in that upper half in the lottery.
Yeah. Great stuff, Doogie. Great scoop session here.
Reckless speculation.
You know, we go a little longer, but Declan has a lunch that, you know. It's gonna
I got to go to it too. So
I was invited too, although I got to head out to the Vikings.
I hate meetings.
So yeah, it's a meeting about the Vikings, and funny, it's scheduled around when the Vikings have media availability, so I can't be there.
Do what you gotta do,
enjoy
man.
your Panera.
Yeah. I'm excited for my sandwich.
Amazing.
I love a good
I
Panera
love Panera.
sandwich.
I'm a big Panera fan.
yeah, Panera.
Man, I'm very bummed. I'm missing out on this meeting.
Commercials, man. They're putting some good stuff out there. I don't know
That's
who's doing those commercials.
Top
for
notch.
Panera.
I would love to endorse them.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just throwing it out there, Panera.
Yeah. All right, Dukes. We'll catch you.
All right, gentlemen.
Next
Bye.
week. Follow him.
Yes,
on
next
Twitter.
week, although I'm out Tuesday, taking the boys up north for a few days. Somehow,
Really?
I don't get this.
Family over me?
Mid-October, yeah, I know. It was a tough choice. I don't understand how mid-October kids have an entire week off from school. I get MEA. I get having a few days off.
Yeah.
But we're talking the entire freaking week? Like,
Wait,
what?
MEA has become a week off now?
In our school district, yes. In other school districts, no, it's 2 days. But in our school district,
it's like a bye week.
Now, they're doing the conferences and all that, but yeah, I don't get it. So we're going to take the boys up north for a little bit.
Self-scouting and some film review, and they'll come back and be better in the second half. Yeah. So, all right, Dukes, we'll catch you later.
Take it easy. Yeah,
right,
we'll talk next Thursday. See ya.
Your scoop session with Doogie here on Mackey and Judd. We're gonna take a breather here, and then I have some forward-looking Viking stuff for you gentlemen, and we have some old tweets exposed on the show today as well.
Reckless speculation.